Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's interview with Dr. Manik Madan, part of the Residency Prep Vlog series. I'm really excited to catch up with Dr. Madan today to hear what's been going on. It's just about the beginning of September right now, and so there's been a lot of application prep and a lot of interesting and exciting updates in his process. So welcome, and thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, hey guys, what's up? My name is Manik Madan, and I'm going to be applying this year, for this year's match, and I'm applying for psychiatry. Like right now, I have been fully certified by the ECFMG, and the way I got that was through USMLE Step 1. I have a Step 1 score, so you get the USMLE Step 1 score, USMLE Step 2 CK score, and then the OET, and then a good standing letter from your university. And then you can apply for ECFMG certification. It took me about a week to get certified, but the certificate itself showed up about I think it was about 3 weeks from the date I applied for certification. So I'm happy that I'm fully ECFMG certified, which is so very important when you're applying, because a lot of programs, because if you're an IMG, a lot of programs would just reject your application if you're not ECFMG certified by the time the match starts, right? So I'm pretty happy that I've made it in time through ECFMG certification.
So what did you think of the OET when you took it, if I can ask?
So the OET itself, which has replaced the Step 2 CS, it's an English proficiency test, and it's not that easy as a lot of people tell. There is a significant level of difficulty if you think about listening, because a few sections are just too fast, and if you make just one error, your whole exam could go bad, right? So definitely you have to practice for OET. I took about 4 to 5 days to prepare for it, personally, and I just use your sample test, and then there's a course by the E2 OET. It's a free course. You can just take that course and do the sample test and just prepare for it. But the result will definitely depend upon your proficiency in English. If you're really proficient already in English, then you're not going to need much time to prepare for that. But if you're not that good in English, you have to take at least a month or sometimes 2 weeks. I've heard people do that. So definitely consider those two that factor, that if you're really proficient in English, and based on that, set up your timetable to study for this. And the bad part about OET is if you in case fail it, rescheduling it is such a pain, and sometimes you don't even find a date, which is insane. I remember I was calculating, if I fail this, I'm not going to be able to apply for ECFMG certification, because you're not going to get a date. It takes about a month, So when you register for it, you'll get a date for after a month, right? So, and that depends upon your country also. There's a whole lot of complexity behind that. So be very careful with that, set it up so that, either prepare for it really well, and also try to consider the fact that if indeed you might fail, how would that affect the whole process, ECFMG certification, because that can be scary, if you fail it.
Yeah, and so you're able to pass on the first attempts and get your certification within just a few weeks. And what else have you been working on then?
So the other things I have been working on is my LORs. So I've been emailing all my attendings with whom I've done rotations, and I've been just asking them to upload it. I've gotten 3 uploaded. There's just 1 more remaining, which I'm waiting for.
You're close.
Yeah, I'm pretty close, but 3 has been uploaded. And the thing with LORs is once it's uploaded, it takes time. So if you're an IMG, there's this thing called ECFMG processing. Even if you your attending uploads it for you, it's going to take about a week to 2 weeks for that to be processed by the ECFMG. So you have to keep that thing in mind, at least take a margin of 2 weeks, and make sure that you're done way before September 29, right? It's at least processed way before September 29, so that you don't have to be worried about it. My 4th LOR, I'm just waiting for it, and I hope it gets done before that time, September 29, the whole process. The next thing I've been working on is my personal statement. So with personal statement, it's so hard because like there's so much you have to say, and there's just like 750 words and less to describe that. So it's like, and you have to like kind of choose between what you get to like put out there, right? Do you want to put out your academic like lifestyle, or do you want to put out like what you have done like in volunteering more? And you have to decide like what proportion goes in more, right? Like so there's this whole lot of complexity because there's just so many instances in med school that you can write about, but like which one do you choose? And for that, I would really advise, like I'm kind of done with my personal statement. I'm just like making a few minor edits, like because I'm gonna wait till September 29. So I'm just like looking it up over and just sending it to other people for feedback. But with the personal statement, like I wished I had like started in January, like really, because this thing is so very important. And the program directors, like it's I think in the top 4 to 5 documents that they like they look at your scores, personal statement, LORs, right? So personal statement is so important, and it can like mean the difference between you getting an interview or not getting an interview, right?
Definitely.
And what I'll also be trying to do is a few programs, when you search them up, they require actually like for you to mention why do you want to go to that certain institute and that certain place. So whenever you're applying, let's just make sure like you search every program up like to which you're applying to. And some programs will have a clause where they'll specifically tell you to like put like why do you want to go there. So you have to put those extra lines in the end, like 1 to 200 words. So that's what I'm doing with some of the programs I'm applying to. And like your top programs, like whichever you're applying to, like you feel like you want to match there, try to put something related like to why that certain institute, like why do you want to go there, and why that certain place, like let's say New York, like what makes you want to go to New York. So
Yeah,
they
so
really
instead of one personal statement for the whole specialty, you're actually going to end up with 10 or 20 close personal statements that are close to being the same, but you're actually tailoring to some of your top programs and to those programs that specifically want to see that information, which, I definitely agree that having those tailored personal statements is going to increase your chances, especially for those programs that require it, and especially for your top programs where you're really hoping to get into. So that's great advice, definitely.
And it's so funny that this whole process is like you want to become a doctor, but like they're kind of training you to become a writer too. Because like if you look at the whole US system, like when they apply for pre-med, med school, and residency, even fellowships, you have to write like a person. Like you have to be really good at writing. Like that's something, like if you can grow at it, that's definitely good. But if you feel you're not like a really good writer, or you might not have those things in you. So like I've heard a lot of good reviews about residency experts for ERAS editing and personal statement editing. A lot of my seniors kind of used it, and like I'm using it right now because it's definitely so helpful. And if you feel you need the help, like definitely check them out. Amazing. Like I've heard amazing things about them. What else? So after personal statement, what I've been like trying to do right now is I've come back to India for a while, and I've started like my rotations in India. So I know of this certain hospital, so I applied there, and now I'm doing my whole rotations. Like I'm rotating in a psych ward, and I'm not trying to create more gaps. Like I don't want them to feel, because like a lot of my seniors told me, like when they were interviewing, a lot of programs asked them like, hey, what are you doing right now? And if you're sitting there doing nothing, that's bad, right? So like if you're applying for the match, please like remember to do something during that time. May it be a research experience, may it be a clinical experience, right? Anywhere, it's fine, because you have to be busy, right? So that's important. And yeah, I'm learning something here. I'm going to definitely mention that in my CV. So that's going on. What else? Yeah,
And
a
then,
lot of
so
other documents.
you got
Yeah.
back from the US recently to India, and you had been completing rotations in the USA. So what did you think about your experiences when you were completing your US clinical experience?
So the first thing was like, let's say, like I'm going to talk more about my second rotation, because that's the one I really loved because it was so very inpatient. So what I would say is, if you're applying for a rotation all the time, like please go for inpatient rotations. It's a very big difference. I'm not like, inpatient rotations are so very good because you get to see the raw part of that specialty, like, all the emergency cases, like inpatient ICUs, and it's so much more engaging than would be an outpatient rotation. Let's say you get that in a clinic, which is like not as much as fun. Like you wouldn't feel like the depth of that whole specialty in that, right? So if you want to choose something, like go for an inpatient rotation, even though it might even cost you more. And trust me, it's going to pay off way more, because then your attending would have something really good to write about you in an LOR, that you have done something right, because it's a hospital. Second, programs appreciate inpatient experience way more than outpatient experience. So that's why, like, I would say choose inpatients one. Second one I would say is I love like how in the US there's no hierarchy system. Like what I mean by no hierarchy system is not that like there's no program director, or like there's no difference between the program director or the attendings, or like the students. What I mean by that is like nobody kind of tries to show anybody down, or nobody kinds of try to like really boss people around, and people are really friendly with each other. Like when I was with like my attending, he treated like me like his friend. Like he would share his like personal life with me, and like while we were having lunch, and we would laugh, like, and there's like that creates such safety culture for you to express whatever you
Right.
want, for you to say stuff, which I feel is so very important for you to grow as a physician. And that's what I really appreciate in the US. Like nobody kinds of, like even the program director would treat you like as a friend. They wouldn't try to boss you. They wouldn't try to, how do I put it? They wouldn't try to bully you. Like, because in India, we sometimes have that, like the HODs and all, like try to bully you. There, it's not like that. Like everybody is very like friendly with each other. And like they're like at the
Yeah.
same level, right?
Yeah, and I think
So
that is, I mean, that's really incredible that you had that experience. And, I'd say that that does change given the specialty and given the institutions and the programs. And it's certainly not perfect across the entire US, but I'm really glad to hear that you had that experience. And I'm sure that's what you're going to be looking for as well when you are interviewing programs and you're able to kind of assess what is the culture like. Do I see myself fitting into this team? Do these people seem supportive and friendly and open, and like I'll be able to really prosper as a physician and as an individual in that environment. So that's really great that you had that experience, so you know what to look for as well.
yeah, look, it's incredible. And also like what I saw is like how different is medicine in the US. Like if you look at the EMR system, which like
Mhm.
if you live in a country like India, all we have is like handwritten notes. But like the
Right.
EMR system is a whole different thing, because you have to now learn it. And that's why that's another like, good thing about an inpatient rotation is generally they tend to have better like EMR systems like Epic, which is
Mhm.
the EMR system to learn, because most hospitals you'll go and rotate around will have Epic. So that is very important for you to learn the EMR system, and like so that you can at least tell them, I know how to make notes on the EMR because this is their
Right.
system, right? And also like you'll get to learn about different kinds of insurances, like Medicare, like, and that you'll see that in action, like people taking Medicare, people taking Medicaid, and then there's private things and like private insurances. There's just so many like different things in the US that you just need to go and experience. You will see like, and also like I was not that familiar with uh, brand names of drugs in the US. Like once you do
Mm.
your rotation, you'll be like, okay, I know what's Ativan. So Ativan's like a BZD, it's lorazepam. Like you'll start learning about different brand names,
Right.
and then you kind of can like, you're talking on an interview, right? You can say that like, I know, okay, I gave them Ativan, and they'll know like you've been there, right? And it's just like so much more fun. And you'll also see like a bit of that ethics part in the US, like how people are really careful about what they say, and you have to be really careful about what you say about like to the patient. You can't be really like, because there's just so many lawsuits there. If you just say something wrong, things can go bad, and you'll see that in action. Like USMLE just teaches you about that, but and you'll also see that it's a bit different in practicality, because every state has different laws. So it's a bit different like than what you'll read in the textbooks too, like the ethics and the morality part, right? So that's
Yeah.
very
So
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like you really were able to get a stronger feel for the US medical system. And that's the whole point of US clinical experience, is to really gain that exposure and be able to, prove to programs that you have the knowledge and experience and comfort within working within that system. And also, of course, you got the US based letters of recommendation within the specialty that you're applying to. So it's going to be extremely helpful for, making sure you qualify for the programs, and also making sure that they feel confident in you when they're potentially asking you for interviews. So has there been anything that has taken you off guard, or that you were surprised about in terms of the application process or rotations, or just anything in your journey that you'd want people to really know about now that you've gotten this far and we're basically getting to the point where you're going to be applying to programs right now?
So what surprises me about this whole process is like how the whole US system kind of trains you in this multitasking, where there's just so many things going on like simultaneously. Like, let's just say, think about this match, like you're making your CV, then you're getting your attendings to upload you the LORs, you're making your personal statement. Not only that, then like you have to ask your medical school for the MSPE medical transcripts. At the same time, you might be studying for USMLE Step 3. At the same time, you might be doing some research. At the same time, you might also be going to the hospital, right, to get your clinical experience. So it is just like, in India, like we are not like we are not trained to do this, like to do this things simultaneously. We're like, okay, we have an exam, just study for that and just clear that. But the US system is just so much about this multitasking. Like I've gotten like, and it's so hard to do that as like an IMG, because you'll be like, oh my God, like there's this quality part. Like in India, we have this quantity part, right, which is your marks, and that's what gets you in everywhere, like your marks. Like, but in the US, you have this quality part, which are your LORs, which just show you like the person, like who you really are, like in quality. We just don't have the marks, that is the scores. We also have the quality, which is your LORs, your personal statements, your CVs, your volunteer work. Who you really are as a person also really matters. And it's quite difficult. I'm just saying, like, this whole process is quite difficult because you're just not used to it, right? You might also be studying for, let's say, some step, right? Step 3 or step 2 CK. And just this is just so hard handling all these streams at once, like, because each stream will stress you up because it takes time, right? So you'll be like, so you definitely learn how to manage stress and how to manage multiple things at once, which I feel is just so important, right? And I'm happy, like, this system kind of teaches you that. Like, just look at them, like, when they're applying for pre-med programs, when they're applying for med school, they have to kind of go through this process over and over again, like, before pre-med, before med school, before residency, before fellowship.
Right.
And that's why I feel like these people might be like more productive than us. I'm not kind of, but just the amount of multitasking they do is insane. Like, I have to be honest, the amount of things they have to do, just, the hoops they have to cross just to get there. God.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that we tell people over and over and over every single year. It's like, you have to understand the process. You have to understand it ahead of time, because once you actually get into the thick of things and you realize how many things you have to do all at once, the letters of recommendation, the personal statements, the CV, the USMLE exams, the OET, it's so many things to all happen at once. And if you don't understand what's actually expected and required of you, it becomes so much more difficult to really make those things happen. So I definitely, fully agree with you that the multitasking aspect can be overwhelming, and it's important to, understand the process and get the help that you would need for, things like personal statements, ERAS applications, getting feedback for your letters of recommendation, and just your overall application from mentors and, people that you really trust to give you good input. So, we have a few more weeks before September 29th. So what's it going to look like for you from now through September 29th?
It's just like, yeah, the personal statement editing, because I'm just going to kind of make it customized for a few programs that I really, really like, and that I have a high chance to match in. Then the other things is like continuously looking at the CV and updating it a bit, like, so that I'm sure by the end, like, that I've made it. Like, so I'm not going to like finalize my application till like the last date, which is September like 29th. So it's going to take, I'm going to upload it on September 28th or September 27th. I'll just look at it, like, 1 or 2 days before like everything closes. So that's gonna happen. And USMLE Step 3 prep is going on right now. So like I'm not studying too much because there's just so much things. Like I have to get my med school to upload the MSP, got like the medical transcripts. Then you have to take this ECFMG photo, which you have to make sure like you look the right way, and like then you have to kind of customize it. Just there's just so much to do right now. And yeah, and it always feels like you don't have enough time, and that's like
Right.
so weird. Like it always feels you just don't have enough time.
Yeah. Well, luckily you were able to start at least somewhat early. It sounds like you have most of your letters of recommendation. You're just waiting on the one. And it sounds like your ERAS application and personal statements are definitely getting close to being ready. And so you just got to keep, making that daily progress, and yeah, making sure that you apply to the programs before the 29th, so that when the 29th comes out, all those applications are going to be
Yeah.
released to programs, and hopefully within a few weeks you start hearing back and getting some interview invitations. We'll definitely have to catch up with you again on the other side of September 29th, and see how everything went, and hear about your perspectives on interview prep and everything else that you're going to be working on during the actual interview season for the 2021 and 2022 match.